thank you for hanging out with us tonight. And congrats on the movie.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Yeah, no, thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you guys for coming.
Yes,
and it really means a lot. Thank you.
You all, thank you.
So I want to start with you, Anna. So how did you find your way into this project? Let's start from there. What made you want to join?
I got sent the script through my agency, and they were like, Deena, the writer and director, would love to Zoom with you for the role of Jill.
This was during the pandemic, I feel like. Otherwise, I would have met you in person.
Yes. But we had a delightful Zoom, and I read the script in it, and I love movies that are, set in one night. I always find that it just paces the storyline. It keeps the stakes very high, which I loved. I also had worked with Justin Bartha before in a play that I did in New York years ago, and I knew that he was attached. And I just thought that it reminded me of The Big Chill a little bit. And just the fact that these characters were in these extraordinary circumstances, like the cannabis party, and then on top of that, obviously, the nuclear bomb threat. I just thought this was going to be a very fun acting experience.
And no phones.
And no phones
adding that
also
level
on top of that. But yeah, I was just I thought it was going to be a very fun ride, and I couldn't wait to meet her and talk with her about it.
Amazing. So there wasn't really an audition process so much as just a conversation between the two.
No, and that's really nice. Thanks. Because auditioning sucks.
Zoom audition would have been really crappy.
That would have been mean. That would have been really mean.
That's the norm now, though, isn't it? In so many ways. Yeah. Well, I want to talk more about craft and auditioning and all that, but let's talk about a little bit of the brass tacks. So, Deena, how did you are writer and director of this movie? Where did the idea come from? Let's start there.
Okay. So the idea came from my husband, Daniel, and I. I'm going to point so everybody looks at him. Daniel and I storied the idea together. The inspiration was actually the Hawaii bomb scare of 2018. Does anybody remember that? I'm getting some nods. Okay. Yes, you definitely remember it. Maybe you were there. Okay. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, I'll fill you in. There was a text sent out to the entire state of Hawaii saying, hey, nuclear missile headed towards Hawaii, take cover. And it took 38 minutes for the next text that said, never mind, our bad, that was a false alarm. So that was oops, my bad. I don't think that gentleman's employed anymore, but that was really the inspiration for the film. And I really wanted to explore just our dependency on technology, how we've gotten so used to our phones, and especially during the pandemic, how it really just crystallized for me how much we as humans need human connection. And so that was kind of all the inspiration. And then I thought, hey, what's a better truth serum than cannabis? Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in what is sort of the equivalent of a bottle episode, right? You're only in this one space. So when you're casting for this, I imagine chemistry among the actors is really important. So Deena, what were you looking for? I mean, you had your anchors. It sounds like you had Anna, you had Justin, and then in casting to build this out, what were you looking for, and what did that process look like?
Yeah, I mean, casting was arduous, to say the least. I was really fortunate that Anna had worked with Justin before. I felt like they had that rapport and they would have that chemistry. And I think for all the actors, there were no chemistry reads because, like I said, we were in the pandemic. So we just workshopped it a lot. So casting happened kind of fragmented, but all of the characters were somewhat based on people I knew. So I had a very clear idea of what I wanted. And then we filmed on location in Bentonville, Arkansas. So it kind of became like summer camp, right, Anna? Where
Yes, definitely. Had those vibes for sure.
Where we were all kind of hanging out together, and all the cast was at hotels or having dinner parties at their houses. So that really helped to create the chemistry, because that you needed to believe they were a group of friends who knew each other for years. And so just having that where we were all stuck in Bentonville together. Nobody was from Bentonville.
There was a blizzard.
There was a couple blizzards.
My car got stuck on a hill and I had to just leave it.
Oh, that's
and
true.
then I got snowed into my Airbnb and I couldn't get out. And one of the ADs had to come and dig me out of my Airbnb. And I have it on video.
Yeah.
Just if we ever need it. If you ever want to
you
see
should
it.
post that. That's good
I
marketing.
posted it then and people were like, "Are you okay? What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm just shooting a movie." It happens.
Not a big deal. Yeah, Ignacio, we have video of him shoveling snow off the roof. This is how we treat our actors, you guys. Sorry, SAG. Yeah, I know, I'm in trouble.
It sounds like a fun time. Anna, you mentioned that you had worked with Justin before. What's that like to be able to reunite with people you've worked before and in these different roles? And, I don't know how many years it had been, but like obviously you all probably developed craft differently. You're in different parts of your careers. So what was it like to reunite in that way?
Well, we did a play at Second Stage together that Zach Braff wrote. And it was a 4-person play, and I played a hooker, hooker with a heart of gold, and Justin was like the lead, and I just remember I just loved working with him because he's so present, and he cares so much about like making it truthful and being with the other actor. And we had some scenes, but we didn't have some of these great scenes that we have here in this film together. So it was just nice to see how we've changed as actors. I mean, I think we both really settled. I know I settled. It was one of my first jobs right out of college, and I was just this wide-eyed, like, I'm in New York, like, this is amazing. But I feel like I've definitely settled more, and I hope to continue to settle as an actor the more I do get the opportunity to work. But it was great. It's like he's my old friend, We actually got trapped.
Oh my God, not on my movie again. Oh God.
No. This is at the play. It's just a funny, tiny little story. But we went upstairs in intermission of the play on the roof of the theater to have a smoke, and the door locked. And I was sitting there, and I go, I'm sitting on the roof of a theater with the guy from The Hangover who gets trapped on the roof, and now we're trapped on the roof. I was like, this is nuts.
And you woke up in Vegas.
I woke up with the stage manager being like, "Hello, what are you guys doing? You're gonna miss your cue." But we go way back, and it was just a delight. It was really wonderful.
I'm glad you brought up scene partners. What makes a good scene partner, and how do you try to be a good scene partner?
A listener, and I try to listen. Just what I learned, one of the most valuable things I learned in school was the most important person on the stage or in the scene is the other actor, is the other person. And if you're really listening and you're really reacting as the character that you've developed, and you're listening as that person, you will just start to live in that moment if you don't try so hard, but if you're really listening to them. And Justin is great about listening, and I just think that that's one of the most important things you can do as an actor and a human, to be honest. But isn't it kind of the same? Well, deep talks with Anna Camp. Okay.
Well, it sounds it's a dance, not a competition.
Absolutely. And there's so many people that don't know that, and they are just really trying to like make their moment and like get seen and like steal the scene or something. And it's like you can feel it when you're watching it, and you can feel it when you're acting with them. It's like the most subtle acting is when they're just listening and they're not even speaking, but you can see it in the person's eyes what their thoughts are, and that's the most powerful. I think that's what I strive to do. So.
And in this movie, what I really liked was I feel like every couple was like treated equally in a way. I mean, we start with Anna and Justin's characters, but then we do get these slices of all the other couples, and so I feel like the pie was very split up very equally. So Deena, how did you strike that balance?
Great question. I mean, it's at the heart of it, it's an ensemble, led by Justin and Anna, but it really is about this group of friends. So I really have to credit the actors, because after each one was cast, I met with them individually and also together with whoever played their partner. and we really developed a history of their relationship, the conflict that they're going through, and so that when we got onto set, they all had a very strong sense of who they are, who their partner is, and it actually allowed us to improv on set, which is something I really love to do. I like to get what's on the page and then allow the actors to play. So
What was improv that made it into the
I mean,
Anna?
Oh man. I mean, I was just stoked that some of my improvs got in when I
Yeah.
said, I love Rod Stewart.
oh yeah,
That got in.
That was good.
Thanks. There's a couple others. That got in. But we really, you were really collaborative in that way. And we felt very free, but we always started from the script.
Yeah.
But it was really great because Deena would like let the camera roll and just see what would happen. And sometimes you fail, and you don't.
No, you guys didn't fail.
But sometimes some
It's
good
all
stuff happens.
discoveries, right? Everything's meant to happen in some way. So, yeah, but I mean, it kind of, they all had pesos, and I didn't say that right. And what, like pesos, they had pesos, and who they were in their relationships. And I think because they felt this ownership as actors, then their stories were very clear to themselves and obviously, hopefully the audience.
I really loved the I love Rod Stewart line. And also swaddle. Like that made me laugh out loud.
Yeah,
It was
Lucy Punch is pretty great. Yeah.
You talked about social media. That has obviously become a really big part of performers' careers, any creatives' careers. So I'm curious how you all use it or don't use it. Do you think it enhances what you do? Do you think, what's your relationship to the internets?
I have a love-hate relationship with it because I don't have a TikTok because that makes me feel like I'm losing my mind and I'm on acid. I can't even look at it. But I have pressure from agents and from if I bring on a publicist, they're like, you should get a TikTok. You really should get a TikTok. But I'm like, well, what do you want? I'd rather not be making videos. I don't really feel like doing that I'd rather be spending quality time with friends or family, or I don't see how people can just sit there and make video after video after video. But it is the world that we live in. So I do use my Instagram as a way to, this is the thing, I can make money from it. And I feel like I'm going to try to keep making money from it until people are like, what have we been doing? Giving all this money away to these people for these videos. I'm just going to do it until somebody wakes up. But I also don't overly think about it too much. I just post, it's my life. I don't curate it. It's just me. It's fun. I would be doing the same thing. I'd be using it if I wasn't an actor and famous. I use it the same way. It just so happens that more people might see it,
Yeah, I have a more just hate relationship with social media. I'd say it skews on that side.
Same.
Yeah, I'm pretty bad at it. I'm not gonna lie. But thank you, Anna. No, it's true.
I'm always like, what's Deena up to? And I'm like,
not
this is from 6 months ago.
Yeah. That's what I've been up to.
Call her.
Yeah. I like old school. I like send a courier pigeon. I understand and accept though that this is how we market ourselves now. I think in pretty much every business you're in, that is kind of how you represent yourself, and for a lot of people, it's how they stay in touch with people. But for me, I haven't really figured out a symbiotic relationship with it. So I fail when I try. I'm like, I need to promote my movie, and just no, not doing a great job to my 250 followers. Yeah.
They love you love each and every one of them, I'm sure. It's not, what is it? It's not the quantity.
It's not the quantity, it's the quality.
Yes, exactly. There you go. And it's so nice to see you again. I think the last time we had talked was probably a decade ago. And I remember is you were getting these roles that were very specific types of roles. And I remember talking to you and you were like, literally, this is almost verbatim. You're like, I'm ready to shave my head. I'm ready to, and I think your fans, audiences have seen you grow out of those roles. So now at this point, what makes you say yes? What is the thing that brings you to a project?
Well, first of all, thank you for saying that, that you've seen me grow, because it's like, it's hard. It's a hard place to be typecast, because I still get offered those same types of roles, and I really have to say no to things still. And I took a big detour, I think right before I shot this movie. Like, I was doing a horror. That like nobody really saw these movies, but they were my favorite things that I've ever done, because they were challenges, and it took someone to see me. It took the director or the writer to go, I see something in you that you can play outside of your type. And that's rare. So thank you for noticing that. But what I'm drawn to now is just character. Like, I see myself as a character actor, and for so long I tried to be this, like, that ingenue that's getting cast, and like people were trying to put me in that, and I'm like, no, I'm a freaking character actor, and I'm happy for that, because that's where all the fun is. But for a long time I don't think I even really realized that, and now I've like fully embraced it. And it's just that's what I look for, is like those specific characters that are really fun and meaty or crazy or weird or whatever. But yeah, that's what I look for.
And then in growing your career, when you're in between projects, I'm curious, because this is an audience of fellow performers and actors. What do you do to keep your skills up? How do you push your craft? You said auditioning sucks. I think a lot of people can relate to that too. But when that happens,
it's definitely.
What's your least favorite thing about auditioning?
My least favorite thing about auditioning now is that it's only self-tapes. I had one today that I had to do, and in my entire career, I have only booked one job from a self-tape. And I have made millions of self-tapes. And I'll talk to my agents. I'll be like, I don't want, please, like, can they watch my reel? I mean, I've done so much stuff, and like I'm an actor, like, what are they not seeing? But the fact is that people they want to see you do the role. They want to see you do that role. And if in some way you're just like not totally right, but you're sitting in a room by yourself just making these choices. And I have a tendency, or I used to have a tendency, I probably still do, to kind of present like not a bland, but like I could do anything. Like just get me a call back. But that's not going to get you anywhere. I think you really do have to make a strong choice. But the crazy thing is, you're making a strong choice, and you just have to trust yourself, because you're not getting any direction. You're getting like a piece of paper that says she's da-da-da-da-da, and that's that. And then you have to do it sometimes in 2 days notice, turnaround, So that's why it's really frustrating. And I'm sure it's very frustrating for a lot of people. It's like banging your head against the wall, and just hoping that something's going to work out. So
when opportunity meets timing and then comes to you, how do you make sure that you're like in the best possible creative shape? Like, what are the things that you do to keep that up if you're not prepping for like an audition?
I read plays. Like, I have like a stack of Tennessee Williams plays like in my bedroom. Like, I will read plays and just be inspired by character and story. And that is what keeps me grounded and what keeps me going. And that's why I want to be an actor. I didn't even know I was going to do TV or film, to be totally honest, either. I thought I was just going to be doing theater, and I'd be super poor, but I'd be really happy and creatively fulfilled. So yeah, I keep that close to home, because that's like why I want to be an actor. Because this can get really This can get really frustrating, the Hollywood part of it.
I can only imagine. Well, thank you. I feel like that was like a really honest answer, and like what people are, we have a couple audience questions, or I want to take one. This is from Sky. I think, Deena, this is for you. But,
okay.
How long did it take to get this film made from concept to production?
Okay, so concept to production. So we storied and I wrote it in 2019. We shot it in 2023. We premiered at Tribeca in 2024, and it's being released this year at 2025. So it's been a 6-year journey, my friends. Short and sweet.
And the second part of that question is, how did you get the funding for this? And then your producing team.
Too many jokes just came to my head. Funding was a journey, not one that I would recommend anybody else go on. We shot in Bentonville partially because of their tax incentive. It's very robust. I think it's 40%. Cost of living there is less, so the house you see on there would have been way more here. So we had some initial financing, and then it was all private equity in different fragments. A lot of begging, a lot of pleading. I was a first-time writer-director for a feature, so a lot of begging, a lot of pleading. And then that tax incentive really helped kind of take us over. But yeah, it was mostly, and then actually Bentonville, we got a little grant for post too. But we were trying to raise the money all the way up until filming.
Was there any point where you're like, we might not make it, or was there that anxiety ever?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. 100%.
How did you push through? What did you have to do? What did you have to tell yourself to keep pushing forward with it?
I mean, I did this weird thing where I just started telling people I was making a movie. You know, if you just start telling people like, I'm making a movie, they're like, oh, that's great. You're like, yeah. Then you know they're going to ask you about it later, and they'll be like, how's that movie? You're like, oh, shit. So I just started telling people I was going to make it, and that way it kind of held me accountable. I am a pretty driven person, so like if I set my mind to something, I'm hell or high water, I'm going to do it. So when there were many times where I thought this movie wasn't going to happen, and you're going to hear no a million times more than you're ever going to hear yes, but it just takes that one yes. That's what I kind of kept reminding myself. Like, I just need that one yes. Today may have been like 40 no's, but tomorrow I might get one yes. And you have to just kind of stay positive in the face of a lot of adversity. Wasn't that positive, you guys?
I think you brought us home.
Yeah.
I think you brought
Ended on a high note, so.
Yes, there you go. Out of everybody in the cast, if you had to choose one person to be trapped in a potential earth-shattering disaster with, who would you pick and why? Like, make the case.
Okay, I know
Easy,
my answer.
I know mine.
I know my answer. You
Mine
go
was
first.
Steven.
Yours is Steven?
Yeah,
you laugh the whole
because he
time?
makes me giggle so
Yeah.
hard. He's so funny. I love him.
Yeah. Steven's
Is that
great.
helpful if a missile is coming?
Yeah.
Listen, at least I'll be distracted.
Go out laughing.
You know? Yeah.
I would probably say Ignacio, because I don't know if you guys know this. He's a survivalist. Like, he teaches survival. Like,
Smart. That's a good
yeah,
one.
he takes like 4 people out on like an island and just disappears for days. And I don't know what he's doing with them, but like, apparently they get educated. So I think he would like, make a meal out of like sand, and he would be the guy who would like figure out what to do while I was like, they're dying.
I go through everybody else and why they wouldn't be.
Definitely not Bartha.
No way. I would not want to be with Bartha.
Don't-
No.
not
Why?
Bartha.
Why? Both of you. Why?
You go first, Anna.
I just feel like I just
Complain the
yeah,
whole
he'd
time.
be like, ugh, like I don't even like know why it's coming here. Like, you know what I mean? Wasn't that a good Justin during rehearsal?
That was a really good Justin. That was good.
Listen, I mean, that's would probably take up all our time, to go through each and every person. But
I think all of them actually would have their own quality of
Yeah.
why you would. Like, Tawny would stay very level-headed. I
Very
feel like
chill.
she's very typecast. She would
Yeah.
stay very level-headed.
Lucy's a great mom. I feel like
yeah.
she would take care of us
Yeah.
like in a really great way.
She would also make a decision, and you would just have to do whatever she did.
Yeah, I would
She'd
be like,
"We're
whatever you
doing
need,
this."
Lucy, I'll do that. I'll do that.
Yeah. And Natasha you'd have fun the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Malik. I don't know if we
I feel like he might kind of like spiral.
Yeah.
But you might enjoy watching that. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I feel like if I was with Malik, we would just like spiral and we'd be
Together.
two like tornadoes,
Yeah.
and people would be like, "Don't go near them; they're about to explode before the bomb gets here."
Yeah.
So before we close out, I always like to get your, professionals' advice for other actors or other aspiring screenwriters, directors. So please feel free to share if you have some advice to share with everyone in terms of building a career. But what I also liked, this is one of my favorite questions, is what's some advice someone gave you that you didn't take?
Don't wear heels. I had a manager when I first moved here who was shorter than me, I'll say that. And he looked up at me and he said, don't ever wear heels in this town. I didn't listen.
I mean,
Yeah.
So, I'm, almost 5'10". So I was like, I'm just going to wear heels. I'm going to own my height. Has nothing to do with your career, but it was advice that really stood out that I did not take.
Yeah. Oh gosh, advice that I didn't take. Well, one of my teachers at school, I remember he gave us this speech every single year to our class. And it was I went to an acting conservatory. And he would just say, if you can do anything else, if you can do anything else besides acting, you should do that. I didn't do that. Kept acting. But yeah, I remember thinking, well, I guess I could, but I love it too much. I just love, I'm doing it just because I love to act. All the other stuff, it's just stuff that I kind of have to deal with that goes along with the job. But I just feel so lucky because I just loved storytelling and I love connecting with other people. And I love after people come and see movies, they'll come up to me and if they were moved in some way or if they laughed or if they felt in any way less alone, I just that's why I want to do this. And I can't stop until I'll go make my own thing if nobody wants to hire me again, so.
Write yourself into existence. I think that's really important. And what about advice that you would want to impart to other actors, maybe people who are just starting out or who are feeling stuck? Do you have guiding principles that you go back to that are sort of your totems or anchors?
I think the best advice I can give is don't wait for permission. Make your own work. I see one of my dear friends, Danielle Weeks. She's one of the people that I met years and years ago, and we just started writing stuff and making our own content. I didn't wait for somebody else to tell me yes. I didn't wait for somebody else to, and you can think of a million excuses why you can't do it, but everybody has a cell phone, everybody has camera. Nobody's really judging on the quality of the video anymore. So just write yourself the work you want. Make friends with a writer if you're not a writer. Find your people and make your own content and don't wait for permission.
Very well said. I totally agree with that.
Thank you.
I echo that. And just, think about why you're doing it. You're doing it because you're a creator, right? So just create and do it. It's not about becoming famous or getting the next job or whatever. It's tell a story. Make a video. That's the one plus side of social media and TikTok is there are so many places that you can make things and be creative with all of that stuff. So, and don't give up. I think just don't give up.
What stories do you still all want to tell?
I want to do another one with Anna.
I would love that.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out what.
Let's workshop this.
Okay, guys, I need 2 volunteers. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll raise the drugs up a level and we'll be doing meth.
I just want to do a story about every drug. Yeah. Shrooms are next.
But we've kind of spitballed a little something. I've gone through a very transformative time in my life at 42. As a 42-year-old, I'm coming to terms with a lot, and I just feel you can have a coming of age story as a 42-year-old. Too.
Yes, you can.
So I think that there's something valuable in that, and so we're kind of toying around with some ideas. So yeah.
Yes, what she said. I want to do a rom-com with Anna, our own version.
Yes.
Isn't she lovable? I love her.
Thanks.
Well, speak.
I'm so high right now. Whoa, it just hit. Okay.
Don't look at your shirt for too long. I know. That might be too much. This was lovely. I cannot wait to see the next story that the two of you collaborate on. And thank you for sharing the story of Nuked with everybody.
Thank you guys for coming. Tell your friends.